Well, I've titled this video basically the most negative video I've ever titled, and maybe the most negative video I've ever made, because I'm going to talk about something I recently discovered called Milwordy, and how I'm not going to do Milwordy, and I don't think that you should do Milwordy either. But it depends on who you are. So I'll talk about who I'm talking to specifically, because there are some people that I would say, yeah, knock yourself out, do Milwordy. So what is Milwordy? Well, apparently Milwordy is, I don't know if it's I think it's a new trend. It's the first time I've heard of it this week on AuthorTube. But it's this idea that, that you are going to sort of challenge yourself as a writer to write 1 million words. And there are some websites I've been looking at that talk about the different ways to do it, but basically it's the idea that to write 1 million words of fiction for most people, 1 million words of fiction within a year. Now, I suppose you could count text messages or emails and then you'll rank up a lot of points, or journal entries, but I think a lot of people are approaching it with the idea that they want to write 1 million words in a year. And what I learned from an AuthorTube friend, Bethany Vota, is that perhaps this idea is generated from an author named David Eddings, who was quoted to say this advice: write 1 million words, the absolute best you can, then throw it all away, and bravely turn your back on what you have written. At that point, you are ready to begin. So let's talk about that advice first. I think that David Eddings is probably using hyperbole. I don't know if he's genuinely expecting someone to write 1 million words and then throw it away, just burn it, set it to the wind, turn your back on it, and I'm not even sure that David Eddings really followed his own advice on that. So let's assume that he's not exaggerating, that he really believes that you really need to write 1 million. If you want to become a decent writer, you need to write 1 million words and turn your back on them. He doesn't say to write it in just 1 year. So the idea of writing 1 million words, that's daunting. That takes some time. But the idea of doing 1 million words, according to David Eddings, 1 million words, the best words that you can come up with, right? The best that you can write. That's a lot. How much is it? Well, I did a little bit of word count research, and I found out that one of my favorite book series, The Lord of the Rings, here's my original beat-up copies from when I was a kid. The Lord of the Rings, these 3 books, that's about, whoa, caused an earthquake. This is about 500,000. So you could take The Lord of the Rings, and on top of that you could put the Silmarillion, if I'm saying that correctly. I still haven't read this one. The Hobbit, and you're still short. You don't have 1 million words yet. You could add on to this 1984 dystopian and another dystopian novel, Fahrenheit 451, and you're almost there. You're about like 10,000 words away. So throw in a couple more Lost Tolkien stories, and there you have 1 million words. Imagine writing these books in 1 year. I'm kind of being snarky now, but here's Stephen King. So Stephen King writes big books. Here's his 2 largest books, The Stand and It. That's not 1 million words yet. You'd have to add Carrie on top of that, and then you're very close. If we're talking about the unabridged Stand, then we're talking about 1 million words. Here's my favorite example. Oh, my back. The Harry Potter books. All of these books together add up to, if I remember correctly, 1,080,000 words. So if we just take off book 2, The Chamber of Secrets, that puts us at 1 million words. If you can do it, go for it. So obviously, the more you write, the better. So that's good. So you might be wondering, gosh, Wade, why are you raining on our parade? Well, let me talk about, I guess, who I'm talking to. If you are a popular AuthorTuber, somebody cool like Kate Kavanaugh, I like Kate Kavanaugh's channel a lot, it makes sense to do something like the Milwordy challenge, because she loves to write in many different avenues, many different forms. She's got a lot of projects going on, and she also has her AuthorTube channel. So she's got a lot of viewers that are going to want to see if she can pull it off, if she can meet this challenge. So if you have a large YouTube audience, then it makes sense. Or maybe you're planning to write a huge series with a whole bunch of books that you want to self-publish, and so you feel like, hey, to make money, I want to make book after book after book. I want to have 12 books done in a year, and I don't really care if they're that good of quality. So if you're doing like a quirky popular AuthorTuber challenge and you really want to develop your AuthorTube channel, I get it. Or if you just want to write a whole bunch of books and you don't really care about the quality that much, I get that. If you want to write just 1,000,000 random words, I don't get that, but that would be relatively time-consuming. If you want to do it because people like me are skeptic about the process and you want to say, hey, I'll show you, Wade. I'm going to write 1,000,000 words right now and they're all going to be incredible. Ta-da! That's cool too. There are going to be some people that take on this Milwordy challenge that will push through, and they will not only write 1,000,000 words, they will write 1,000,000 great words. However, and this is the point of my video, there's going to be some people that they're going to be frustrated with themselves and with the process. This must be a negative video, by the way, that I probably shouldn't do or post because my dog keeps barking to try to stop me from it. Right now he's chewing on a rawhide that I gave him, told him to go outside, and he insisted, no, I'm going to stay under the table and chew on this rawhide in protest of you making this negative video, Wade. But I don't mean to be negative, and I think that you don't need to write 1,000,000 words to become a wonderful author. And if you are really striving to write your best, while it might take a lot of practice and a lot of drafts, if you are coming up with ideas or a book or a story or whatever it is that you're working on, and you're really inspired by it, and you're really putting your heart and soul into it, I don't know that you need to think of writing 1,000,000 words in a year in order to write something that's wonderful. If you put your heart and soul into your work, there's a good chance that you're going to produce something that you're going to be proud of, and it might be something that editors or agents, publishers will be interested in, or if you're going the self-publishing route, that you will find an audience. This is To Kill a Mockingbird, and it is technically the second book that Harper Lee wrote. The first book that she wrote, if I'm correct, is called Go Set a Watchman. And she sent that to a publisher, and the publisher or editor that she was working with said, oh, well, I'm not quite interested in this book. That book, by the way, was 60,000 words. So Go Set a Watchman was 60,000 words, and the editor told Harper Lee, I'm not interested in this book. I'm interested in this character. I would love to see what this character was like growing up. And so that became Scout's story for To Kill a Mockingbird, which is just over 100,000 words. That means that Harper Lee, as a fiction writer, wrote about 60,000 words, sent it to an editor. The editor said, no thanks, but you're close. Write something else, I want to see it. This is what she wrote. She didn't need to write 1,000,000 words in a year. Here's another thing. Whether we're talking about the scary world of Pennywise the Clown or the fantastical world of Hogwarts, these books are amazing in their worlds, the characters that inhabit them. As a writer, don't you want to take your time? Don't you want to live in these worlds and really develop them and work on them? So don't rush. We don't need to write 1,000,000 words in a year. If we get 100,000 words in a year, that's an incredible accomplishment. Again, that's just me. My journey as an author is going to be different than every other author's journey, but I know there are a lot of, well, see, David Eddings, in that quote, he called emerging writers neophytes. And that's a rather dismissive word. When I work with creative writing students that are fresh out of high school, I'm amazed at their level of energy and talent. And I don't want to see anyone, especially neophytes, young writers, who have amazing natural gifts, I just don't want to see them burn themselves out. So keep that in mind. If you decide to do the Milwordy challenge, great, I applaud your bravery, but keep in mind, if you get a little bit in, maybe a month or two in, and you realize this is not good, stop. Do something else. Don't burn yourself out. So there you go. There's my negative video for you. My name is Wade Bradford, and, and I approve this message. Bye.